Hi guys, it's me, the guitarist again. Doing something a bit different today because somebody asked me how I actually played my version of We Didn't Start the Fire, and if I could do a tutorial for it. So I thought that's actually quite a good idea. I've never done a tutorial before, and it's a good enough song to start with because it's quite easy to learn and play. So I'm going to actually teach two versions. The first is the as close as I can figure out to the original version. And the second would be the acoustic version that I play on my own at sort of open mics and stuff without needing a band behind it. Okay, so the very first thing that everyone knows about We Didn't Start the Fire is, of course, the famous riff. So let's break that down and see exactly what's going on there. So first we start out on the 12th fret of the D string, and you play that with a rhythm. Then we move up to the 14th fret of the D string, after that we move on to the G string, the 12th fret of the G string. And you can either play that twice or once depending on which version, because there's actually different versions that he plays live in the album. So you play. So now we're on the 14th fret of the G string. You play that once. And the final part of this riff is on the 12th fret of the B string. Now actually, to get the sort of slidey effect, usually you just do a sort of pull off with a quarter bend. So it just it gives it that sort of slightly synthesized sound if you if you're using an electric, which of course I'm not here. And then the second part of that riff is where you start on the 14th fret of the D string and you just do the run up again. So 14, 12, 14, 12. Which is on the 14th fret of the G string down to the 12th. And then again. So that's the riff. So that's simple enough. Now the great thing about Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire is that it's very easy to learn, and it's also really easy to play, because most of it, the verse and the chorus, is built around the same 4-chord pattern: G, D, E minor, C, and that just repeats for most of the song. Now, if you want to get the sort of proper sound of the song, the way that you do it is that you play the root note twice, and then it's actually a G5 during the verse, then a D5 with that same rhythm, E5, C5. Now in the original, the chorus follows mostly the same pattern, but it doesn't start with a G, it just goes straight into a held D5 note. We didn't start the fire, it was E minor, always burning since the sea, world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. So you can do it either way. I've tried both and it always seems to work one way or the other. You can either do we didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. So that's the first way of doing it. Or the second way is, we didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. And then back to, of course, that little... Now the only part of the song where the that rhythm changes, the is during the bridge, where it goes to a different pattern. Now I usually play this as whole chords because it sort of has a more ringing feel to it, but again in the original it's just fifth chords. So the bridge, first off from the chorus, instead of doing the usual finish to the chorus, you go we didn't start the fire, was always burning, and then you go to A, world's been turning, back to C again, so C5, A5, E, actually E5 or E minor, and then D. Little Rock, Pasternak, Mickey Mantle, Kerouac, Sputnik, Chow and Light Bridge on the River Kwai, Lebanon, Charles de Gaulle, California, baseball stock, weather, homicide, children of thalidomide. So that's how that goes. So it goes, so from the chorus, we didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Little Rock, Pasternak, Mickey Mantle, Kerouac, Sputnik, Chow and Light Bridge on the River Kwai, Lebanon, Charles de Gaulle, California, baseball stock, weather, homicide, children of thalidomide. Now after the bridge we've got this quite nifty little riff which leads us back into the verse. And so it's after the stark weather, homicide, children of thalidomide. Then we're on the 12th fret of the top E string. So you play one note and then you mute for 2. 10th fret of the E string and mute again for 2. Then it's the 13th fret on the B string. Like that. So it's... So the second part of that is the 13th fret of the B string to the 12th fret of the B string to the 12th fret of the G string. Now, I actually think there's two ways of doing this, which is, firstly, you can just repeat the first refrain, so 12th, 10th, 13th, 12th, 10th, 13th, and then back into, or you can do the one like that. So basically for the original version of We Didn't Start the Fire, that's all there is to it. There's quite a few individual bits, but they're all easy enough to play on their own, and then when you put them together, you get the whole song. So what I'm going to do now is show you the acoustic version, which I play solo. So that version, which is mostly the same, but there are a couple of subtle changes in it, which just make it a bit easier to perform solo. Right, so the most obvious change is that you're playing the riff down here now. And you're playing it with the chord around it. So there's two things you have to do here. First off, you of course have to transpose from the 12th fret down to the here, which is simple enough. It's the open D, 2nd fret on D, G, A, B. Like that. And the reason that I'm playing it all with my index finger is because then you've got to put the chord, a G chord, around it. Now, what I usually do is middle finger on the 3rd fret of the bottom E, and then mute the A string above it, so that I'm not doing an actual full G chord. And secondly, little finger on the 3rd fret of the top E string. Now, I know that some people would put their ring finger there, but that's just my preference. And then you have to play the whole riff with just your index finger. the way that I found to get the best sound out of it, of course, because when you're playing a solo instrument or a solo concert, you need to be able to produce a bit more noise so that it doesn't just sound like one guy on his guitar going. So what I found is that usually if you play at least 2 notes at the same time and leave the G as ringing, so as long as that G chord is there and you're holding it, then you can pretty much do anything you want on the 2nd fret here, and it'll sound alright. It won't sound like We Didn't Start the Fire, but it will at least sound in tune. So, the full thing. Now, of course, also, because, again, you need to make a bit more noise when you're playing on your own, you're playing down in the lower notes as well, usually I play the whole thing as open chords, so E minor there, not E, it should be pointed out. So G, D, E minor, C. Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Rosenberg's H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, Panman, John Brando, The King and I, and The Catcher in the Rye, Eisenhower vaccine, England's got a new queen, Marciano, Liberace, Santayana, goodbye, we didn't start the fire. Now again, a slight difference from the original is that I usually find that then going back to the G there for the chorus is a lot more helpful when you're doing it solo acoustic. It might just be me, of course. You could find that just staying with the D as in the original is better for you. So hopefully that'll make sense. The rest of it follows as normal. You do the bridge the same way. And after that it's just learning all those words. So hopefully when you put it all together it should sound something a bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Rosenberg's H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, Panman, John Brando, The King and I, and The Catcher in the Rye, Eisenhower vaccine, England's got a new queen, Marciano, Liberace, Santayana, goodbye, we didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning, we didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it, Joseph Stalin, Malenkov, Nasser and Prokofiev, Rockefeller, Campanella, Communist Bloc, Roy Corner, Juan Perón, Toscanini, Dacron, Dien Bien Phu, Foz, rock around the clock. Einstein, James Dean, Brooklyn's got a winning team. Davy Crockett, Peter Pan, Elvis Presley, Disneyland, Marno, Budapest, Alabama, Khrushchev, Princess Grace, Peyton Place, trouble in the Suez. We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Little Rock, Pasternak, Mickey Mantle, Kerouac, Sputnik, Chow and Live Bridge on the River Kwai, Lebanon, Charles de Gaulle, California, baseball star, weather homicide, children of thalidomide. Oh, Buddy Holly, Ben Hur, Space Monkey Mafia, Hula Hoops, Castro, Edsel is a no-go. You do Sigmund Repay, Ola and Kennedy, Chubby Checker Psycho, Belgians in the Congo. We didn't start the fire, was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire, no we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Hemingway, Eichmann, Stranger in a Strange Land, Dylan, Berlin, Bay of Pigs invasion, Lawrence of Arabia, British Beatlemania, Ole Miss, John Glenn, Liston beats Patterson, Pope, Paul, Malcolm X, British politicians, JFK, blown away. What else do I have to say? We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Birth control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon back again. Moonshot, Woodstock, Watergate and punk rock. Bacon, Reagan, Palestine, terror on the airline. Ayatollahs in Iran and Russians in Afghanistan. Wheel of Fortune, Sally Ride, heavy metal, suicide, foreign debts, homeless beds, AIDS, crack, Bernie gets hypodermics on the shore and China's on the martial law. Rock and roller, cola wars, and I can't take it anymore. We start the fire. Always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. When we are gone, it will still be burning on and on and on and on, on and on and on and on. We didn't start the fire.